The stranger in the wreckage space was quiet now. Too quiet. The battlefield near the asteroid belt had gone silent after the fight. Broken ships floated in zero gravity. Fire, smoke, and pieces of metal moved slowly in the dark. The war was over, at least for today. John Merrick, a former soldier turned cargo pilot, flew his old transport ship near the wreckage. He wasn't looking for trouble, just salvage. Food, wires, tech, anything he could sell. His ship's scanner beeped. Life sign. Detected, the computer voice said. John blinked. What? Out here? He adjusted the controls and moved toward the signal. As he got closer, he saw a half-destroyed alien pod. Strange symbols were written on its metal surface. Half of it was burned, and one side was open, like something tried to crawl out. Inside, he saw her, a woman, or at least something that looked human. Long, dark hair, cuts on her face, strange silver-blue armor. She was breathing, but just barely. Her skin had glowing lines that pulsed slowly, like light flowing. Under her veins, John's heart raced. What the hell are you? He whispered. The ship's alarm started ringing. Enemy signal approaching. Evacuate immediately. John had two choices, leave and save himself, or go down there and try to help her. He cursed under his breath, grabbed his suit and helmet, and opened the airlock. Space was cold, quiet. Every step felt heavy as he moved toward the pod. Fire crackled nearby. One wrong move and the whole thing could explode. Hang on, he muttered, reaching the pod. The woman's eyes opened slightly. Silver eyes. Not human. But there was fear in them. Pain. Confusion. I'm gonna get you out, John said. She didn't speak, just stared at him like she didn't understand, but trusted him anyway. He pulled her out carefully. She cried in pain, but didn't fight. Her body was heavier than it looked. He almost fell twice. Each second, the warning alarm got louder. Shadow passed above. Enemy drone. Damn it, John said. He ran, carrying her back to his ship. Lasers hit the ground behind him. Sparks flew. He dove inside the ship just in time and hit the door button. Slam. He threw her on the med bed and launched the ship into hyperboost. Space turned into light as the stars blurred past them. Silence again. John sat on the floor, breathing hard, looking at the strange woman lying in his ship. What did I just do? He whispered. Hours passed. The woman was stable but still unconscious. John patched up her wounds the best he could. He gave her water. She didn't drink much, but he saw her body healing slowly, faster than a human would. Her veins glowed more, now. The lines moved like small rivers of light. John sat in the pilot seat staring at the screen, but his eyes kept drifting to her. Who was she? Why was she out there alone? Why did she look human, but not? He opened a small box and took out a picture, him and his sister years ago. She died during the war, saving a stranger. People called her a hero. John never wanted to be one. But today, he did the same thing. He saved a stranger. But this stranger was not from Earth. Suddenly, a sound. He turned. She was awake, sitting up, slowly. Easy, John said. You're safe now. Her eyes met his, calm but sharp, like she was studying him. Where am I? Her voice was soft, but strong. You were in a crash. I pulled you out. She looked down at her hands. At the glowing veins, she seemed confused, even scared of herself. What's your name? John asked. She hesitated. I don't remember. John frowned. You sure? I don't know who I am, she said. But I feel like I should not be here. John nodded slowly. Well, you're here now, and someone tried to kill you. She looked away, silent. John leaned back in his chair. Whoever you are, you've got a lot of people looking for you. She stared at him. Am I dangerous? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, I guess we'll find out. Outside, the stars moved quietly past the windows. But, in that small ship, something big had just begun, a human and a stranger, and neither of them had any idea what was coming next. Not just human, space was endless, but inside John's ship, silence had weight. The woman he rescued sat near the window, wrapped in a blanket. She hadn't spoken much since she woke up. Her glowing veins dimmed now, but still moved softly under her skin, like a second heartbeat. John had seen a lot in his life. Aliens, wars, betrayal. But this woman, she felt like something new, something impossible. He walked into the medroom holding a warm drink. "You hungry?" She took the cup slowly. "Thank you." John sat across from her, leaning on his elbows. "So, nothing's come back? No name, no planet, nothing?" She looked up at him, confused. "I see flashes, voices, a room with high walls, stars outside a glass dome, and pain, like my chest is burning." John narrowed his eyes. "You said you feel like you shouldn't be here. What does that mean?" She looked away. "I don't know, but I feel watched." A chill went down John's spine. He checked the ship's sensors. Nothing. Clean. Later that night, while she slept, John called an old contact, Dr. Kellen, an exobiologist who owed him a favor. "You're telling me she has glowing veins?" Kellen said over the vid call, raising an eyebrow. John nodded. "And she heals too fast. She was half dead. Now she's walking around like nothing happened." "Bring her to my lab," Kellen said. "This sounds big, really big." "No, too risky," John replied. "I'll send you scans." He took a handheld scanner and gently hovered it over her sleeping form. The readings made no sense. Her cells were shifting, evolving. "What are you?" John whispered. Next morning, she stood in front of the mirror, touching her face like she was seeing it for the first time. Her reflection didn't look wrong, but it didn't feel right either. John came in. "We're going to a quiet station, no crowds, no eyes. My friend might help figure out who you are." She looked at him, afraid. "What if I'm not good?" John smiled a little. "I'll deal with it." "Why are you helping me?" she asked. John's eyes darkened. "Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it." They reached the edge of the Nexus Drift Station, a black market trading post built inside a dead comet. Shady, secret, and always listening. Perfect place to hide. But the moment they docked, something was wrong. John noticed a group of strangers staring at them, too quiet, too focused. "Keep your hood up," he whispered. Inside the station, they met Kellen in a dark corner of an old medical wing. Kellen scanned her again. His eyes widened. "John, this isn't just alien DNA. It's layered, like two species, mixed into one. And there's something else, deep in her genome, a symbol." "What symbol?" Kellen turned the screen. "A royal crest, glowing. This isn't just tech. This is bloodline coding, ancient, high level." The woman stared at the screen. The symbol made her head ache. She held her temples. Flashes rushed into her mind. Armies, golden thrones, a tower burning. Then she collapsed. Outside, someone was watching. A bounty hunter, eyes scanning the data on his arm screen. His lips curled into a smile. "Target confirmed. Reward, 500,000 credits." He turned on his comm. "She's here." Back in the lab, the woman woke up. Her voice was different now, stronger. "I remember I was taken, betrayed. There was a fight, and I escaped in a pod." John leaned forward. "Who betrayed you?" She shook her head. "I don't know. I only remember they feared me." Just then the power went out. John grabbed his blaster. "We've got company." Red emergency lights flashed. Footsteps echoed outside. "How did they find us?" Kellen said, panicking. "They weren't looking for me," John said. "They were looking for her." The door exploded open. 3 bounty hunters rushed in, guns raised. John fired first, hitting one in the shoulder. Chaos erupted. Sparks flew. The woman stood in the middle, frozen in fear. until one bounty hunter aimed at John. In that instant, something inside her broke free. She raised her hand and time slowed. The bullet moved like it was swimming through syrup. John's eyes widened. Her eyes turned silver. Energy pulsed from her fingers. The bullet stopped midair and fell. She waved her hand again and a shockwave blasted through the room, knocking all attackers unconscious. John stared at her. "You're not just alien," he whispered. "You're something more." She fell to her knees, breathing hard. "I didn't know I could do that." Kellen crawled to the screen and checked the readings. "John, she's not just some lost alien." He gulped. "She's royal, maybe even a queen." John looked at her, and suddenly, everything made sense. The hidden truth. The room was silent after the fight. Smoke still hung in the air. Sparks crackled from broken lights. John looked at the woman again, this time not as a stranger, but as something much more. She had just stopped a bullet midair, without touching it. Her eyes had glowed like a star. Time itself seemed to freeze. And now she was on the floor, shaking, scared of herself. John moved closer, slowly. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe now." She looked up, eyes wide. "What did I just do?" "Something impossible," Kellen whispered, watching the scanners. "I've studied over 40 alien species. None of them can control time or stop matter like that." John helped her stand. "I think we need real answers now." They returned to the ship. Kellen downloaded the DNA results and sent it to a private encrypted channel. "I know someone who can help decode the royal genome," he said. "But be careful. If the wrong people get this, you'll have bounty hunters from every system on your tail." John nodded. "We already do." Hours later, as the ship drifted through empty space, the woman sat in the observation room staring at the stars. "They feel familiar," she whispered. John stood near the doorway. "Anything come back yet?" "Flashes," she said. "I see fire, people running, tall stone towers, silver armor, a voice shouting my name, but I can't hear it clearly, and a crest, same as the one in the scan." John nodded. "I think you were important, like royalty." She frowned. "If I was a queen, why was I left to die?" A sudden beep broke the silence. The ship's system had picked up a transmission, encrypted, anonymous. John opened it carefully. Voice, distorted and low, came through. "You're carrying something that belongs to an ancient bloodline. Return her and you will be rewarded. Hide her and you'll both die." Then a file appeared. Bounty poster. Her face. Wanted. Subject Val 3 status. Exiled Royal Fugitive Bounty. 850,000 credits. Dead or alive. John's stomach turned. This wasn't just any bounty. Someone wanted her gone. Permanently. He looked at her. She was staring at the screen, hands trembling. "Val 3. She whispered. "Is that me?" John clicked on the profile. The text was limited, redacted, but one line stood out. "Last seen escaping the palace after the death of the High Monarch." "You were running from something," John said. "Maybe from a war, or a betrayal." "What if I killed someone?" she asked softly. "What if I'm not innocent?" John didn't flinch. "If you were evil, you wouldn't be asking that question." Later that night, she woke up from a nightmare. Sweating. Heart pounding. She had seen herself, standing in front of a throne, a crown in her hands. People knelt before her. But something was wrong. Someone in the crowd pointed, a weapon at her, then fire, screams, betrayal. She gasped and sat up. John was already there. "Another memory?" She nodded. "They tried to kill me in the palace." John called Kellen again. The message was urgent. "I decoded part of the DNA," Kellen said. "You need to hear this." "Go ahead." She belongs to the Valan line, an ancient species of royalty. Her people ruled parts of the galaxy over 500 years ago until they disappeared. John raised an eyebrow. Disappeared? Vanished, Kellen confirmed. Their cities went dark. Their technology sealed itself. Legends say they fell from within. Civil war. John looked at her. And you were the last one? She looked away. I think I was supposed to lead, but someone didn't want me to. Suddenly, the ship's warning lights blinked. A small beacon had attached to the hull. They were being tracked. John cursed and ran to the cockpit. Someone's following us. More bounty hunters? She asked. No. Worse. This signal. It's military. Within minutes, a warship appeared from behind a moon, not just any ship. It was marked with the Zeran Empire sigil. The Zeran were known for one thing, eliminating threats before they rise, and they didn't take prisoners. A message flashed on the screen. Surrender the fugitive. You have 60 seconds. John looked at her. She stood still, eyes glowing again. But this time, not in fear, in fury. They killed my people, she said. I remember now. They came to the palace during peace talks. But it was a trap. John armed the shields. Then we fight. No, she said. You already saved me once. You shouldn't have to again. You're not alone this time, he replied. You're not running anymore. The warship charged weapons. Inside John's ship, everything hummed. Panic, power, purpose. She walked to the center of the room, closed her eyes, and whispered something in a language John couldn't understand. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Her veins pulsed brighter. A deep vibration filled the ship. Then, an explosion of energy surged from her body, blasting through the walls of the ship and hitting the Zeran cruiser like a solar flare. The warship went dark. Systems dead. They floated, powerless in the void. John stared at her, stunned. What the hell was that? She turned slowly. My birthright. The chase begins. Space had never felt this quiet. The Zeran warship floated dead in the distance, its lights off, systems fried. John's ship drifted nearby, still humming softly with the leftover energy from her explosion. Val. Yes. She remembered now. Her real name was Valaria. Stood in silence, eyes glowing dimly, her hands shaking. I didn't know I could do that, she whispered. John stared at her from the cockpit doorway. You turned a warship into scrap without touching it. Val collapsed into the chair. It's coming back, all of it. Who I was, what they did to me. John sat across from her. Then start from the beginning. Flashback. Inside her mind, she was a child of the stars, born on a throne made of light. The Valen dynasty had ruled not with war, but with balance. They were not conquerors. They were guardians of knowledge, time, and ancient technology hidden in forgotten systems. Valaria was next in line, but during the ascension ceremony, someone betrayed her. Trusted generals turned against her family. Soldiers in royal armor switched sides. The Zeran Empire had planned everything. They wanted to control the tech her people protected. She had barely escaped in a cryopod, her family, her people, all gone. Val opened her eyes. They burned my empire to the ground, she said softly, and they erased me from history. John clenched his fists. But now they know you're alive, Val nodded. And they won't stop. Suddenly the ship's console beeped. A proximity alert. Multiple signals incoming, John muttered. He pulled up the scanner. 8 ships. Fast. Light hunters. No official markings. Bounty hunters, he said. Val looked at the screen. No, not just hunters. She pointed at one of the symbols on a ship wing. It was small, hidden, but royal. That's from my house, she said. Only used by personal guards. John stared. You're saying someone from your own people is hunting you? No, she said coldly. Someone who used to be one of us. Incoming transmission, a voice came through. Deep. Familiar. Valaria, you should have stayed lost. Her eyes widened. Kale. John looked confused. Who's Cale? Val's face darkened. My former protector. My cousin. The one who opened the gates for Ziran soldiers. You think you can rebuild the empire? Cale's voice growled. The people don't need a queen. They need control. John shut off the comm. He's trying to get inside your head. Val turned to John. No, he's trying to scare me. She stood tall. But I'm done being afraid. Chase begins. John pushed the ship into evasive flight. Asteroids floated nearby. He guided the ship into the field, using every rock as cover. Cale's hunters followed, fast and aggressive. Plasma bolts flew through the dark. They're locking weapons, John shouted. Val moved to the weapons. Console. Let me try. You sure? He asked. I don't remember the buttons, she said. But my hands do. Her fingers moved like she was born for it. Energy from her veins flowed into the ship's system. Suddenly, the ship glowed, brighter, faster. Her power was syncing with the engines. We've never gone this fast, John muttered, holding on. Inside the asteroid field, it became a deadly game of cat and mouse. John dodged lasers, ducked behind rocks, and even flew upside down through a collapsed mining tunnel. Val used the turrets to shoot down 2 hunter crafts. The energy blasts were sharper now, guided by her own aura. You're syncing with the ship, John said, like it's becoming part of you. My people. We didn't use ships like tools, she said. We bonded with them. Suddenly, a warning alarm blared. Cale's ship had entered the field, 10 times bigger than the others. John gulped. We can't outrun that. Val stepped forward. We don't have to. Confrontation. John landed the ship on a large, spinning asteroid. They had 1 minute before Cale arrived. Val opened the back panel of the ship and pulled out an old blade. Hers, engraved with ancient writing. You're going to fight him? John asked. No, she said. I'm going to remind him what he betrayed. Cale's ship landed hard. Dust blew across the rock. He stepped out. Tall, armored in black royal plating. His eyes were cold. Empty. You look smaller than I remember, he sneered. You look just as weak as I expected, Val replied. Cale raised a gun. You shouldn't have come back. Val didn't flinch. You shouldn't have let me live. Battle of Bloodliness. Kyle charged. Val moved fast, unnaturally fast. Her blade clashed against his armor. Sparks flew. John watched from the ridge, gun ready but unable to interfere. It wasn't just a fight. It was a war of bloodlines. Val's blade glowed with every strike. Cale's armor cracked, piece by piece. Finally, Val pushed him to the edge of the asteroid. You should kill me, he hissed. Finish it. Val held her blade at his throat. But then, she dropped it. You already killed yourself, she whispered. End of the chase. They returned to the ship. Cale's soldiers fled after their leader fell. John looked at her, proud but concerned. He said something about the people not needing a queen. Val nodded. He was right about one thing. John frowned. Which part? I'm not just their queen anymore, she said. I'm their last chance. The alien queen space had changed. News travels, fast when power wakes up. In the outer rim, ships whispered through encrypted comms. Did you hear? Someone survived the fall of Alan. The queen is alive. Systems that once feared the name now stirred again. Meanwhile, in a hidden sector of space, John's ship floated silently near a red dwarf star. Inside, everything was changing. Val sat in the center of the ship's chamber, eyes closed, glowing softly. Her memories were no longer broken. They flowed now. Clear, painful, sharp. She remembered her mother's voice, whispering old words of power. She remembered her father handing her the blade that responded to thought, not force. She remembered the oath. If the bloodline falls, the galaxy falls with it. John watched from a distance. He had seen soldiers break down, seen planets fall. But this woman, she was rising. What happens now? He asked her gently. Val opened her eyes. I was supposed to die. But you didn't, he said. No, and now everything changes. She stood and moved to the ship's interface. Her hand hovered over the glass screen. It lit up without her touching it. A deep hum echoed through the room. What are you doing? John asked. Calling something old, she said. Something that only wakes for royalty. The awakening of a relic from the edge of the system, a forgotten satellite turned on, a signal pulsed into the void. Seconds later, the stars shifted. Something massive came out of the dark. A palace ship. Half station, half city. Once thought destroyed in the war. But now, it responded to her. I can't believe this, John whispered. Val stepped forward. This was my home. They docked with the ship. As they entered, lights flickered on. Ancient halls relit themselves, stone walls glowing with runes. John looked around. It's like the ship missed you. Val ran her fingers over a pillar. These ships were built from living metal. They sleep until someone of the bloodline wakes them. And you're the last? Val turned. Yes, the last queen. The last key. The war room deep inside the ship, they found the throne room. Around it were glowing orbs, recordings left. Behind, Val touched one. Holograms came alive. Council meetings, secret votes, final warnings. One voice repeated, if Kale turns, we fall. If he opens the gates, the dynasty ends. Val's hands shook. They knew and did nothing. John placed a hand on her shoulder. They weren't brave enough, but you are. Suddenly a screen lit up, an incoming transmission, but it wasn't from the Xeran Empire. This was different. A man appeared, tall, armored in faded gold. Alien symbols marked his chest. We are the remnants, he said. We once served the throne, now we hide from it. If you are truly Valaria, prove it. Come to the Hall of Dust. We will not bow to ghosts. Val stood still, eyes unreadable. Who are they? John asked. Rebels, she said. Survivors. Warriors who left during the war. If I can win them back. You'll have an army, John finished. The Hall of Dust they traveled fast, avoiding Empire patrols. On a forgotten moon they found the Hall of Dust, a broken city built inside a canyon. Warriors waited, their faces covered. Watching. John and Val walked into the center. The man in gold stepped forward. So, it's true. Val looked him in the eye. You served my father, he nodded. And I buried him. Tension thickened. Dozens of weapons were aimed, ready. You ask us to follow you, he said. But what have you done? What have you saved? Val took a breath. Then she walked to the stone in the middle of the hall. A block carved with ancient script. No one had touched it in years. She placed her hand on it. Nothing. Silence. Warriors laughed quietly. Just a girl with a good story, someone muttered. Val closed her eyes. Not with force, with memory. She whispered the same phrase her mother had spoken the day of her naming. The stone lit up. Symbols burned. Runes moved. The hall trembled. The warriors fell to their knees. Queen, the man in gold said softly. Val stepped back. I don't need followers, she said. I need believers. A new mission back on the palace ship, John sat in the strategy chamber. Val stood at the center, her voice calm but sharp. The Xeran Empire controls 40 systems, she said. Their control is not peace, it is silence, fear. John raised a brow. You planning to take them all back? No, Val said. Just one. Which one? Val looked at him. The core. John blinked. You mean their capital? Val? Nodded. If I walk into their heart, every system will hear the truth. As they prepared, Val stood alone in the throne room. She looked at her reflection. Armor now shining, eyes steady. The girl who was lost was gone. Now, only the queen remained, but deep inside, She still wondered, can I win without becoming what they fear? War and sacrifice space was no longer quiet. Signals were flying through the stars. The Queen is alive and she's coming for the core. The Ziran Empire, once calm and cold, now buzzed with fear. Fleet movements doubled, planets locked down, propaganda screamed across every channel. Alien terrorist returns. Dangerous, unstable, destroy on sight. But somewhere deep inside the Empire's heart, people were whispering a different truth. She's back. The march begins. Valaria stood on the bridge of her ancient palace ship. Behind her, hundreds of remnants stood ready. Former warriors, loyal houses, and even defectors from Ziran ranks. John stood beside her, dressed in battle armor now, no longer just a pilot. He looked at the stars ahead. You really want to do this? He asked. Val didn't blink. They killed my family, burned my throne, erased my name. If I don't rise, others will keep falling. John nodded. Then let's end this. Strike on the outpost. Before they could reach the Empire's core, they had to destroy the Empire's eye, the outpost at Aranon. It controlled all traffic, all data between systems. Val's forces jumped in under a false identity. By the time the guards realized it was a trap, it was too late. Val moved like a storm, energy dancing across her armor, blade glowing. John and his squad handled the inside. Explosions shook the control towers. The battle was short but brutal, and when it ended, the signal tower was destroyed. The core was exposed, but not without cost. During the retreat, they were ambushed. Kale had returned, broken, but alive. He led elite hunters into the rear flank. John was hit protecting Val's escape. One of the remnant generals, Ryan, took the shot meant for her. He died with honor, whispering, "Long live the Queen." Val stood over his body later, quiet and shaking. "This is what power takes," she said. John, wounded, grabbed her arm. "You didn't take him. The war did." But she knew. Every victory now came with a price, and the closer they got to the core, the higher the cost. In the shadows of the Empire, back in the Empire capital, panic grew. The High Council argued behind closed doors. She has old weapons. She has people behind her. This should have ended 20 years ago. But one man stood alone. Lord Myrick, the Supreme General of Ziran. His voice was calm. "She's not just a queen now, she's a symbol." He turned to the screen showing her ship moving through systems. Symbols are dangerous. He opened a secret file. Project Blackfall. Forbidden tech, ancient power stolen from the Valan vaults. "If she wants war," he said softly, "let's give her hell." A quiet night before the storm. In the cold dark, before they reached the final jump gate to the capital, Val stood alone on the observation deck. John joined her, arm bandaged, still limping. "You okay?" he asked. Val didn't answer for a moment. "If I win, I'll be the last queen of a broken line. And if you lose, the last memory of it." John leaned against the wall. "You know what I think?" Val smiled slightly. "You always think too much," he laughed. "I think you're not fighting for your throne anymore." "Then what am I fighting for?" "For us. For the people who never had a voice. For the little girl who watched her world burn and chose to rise instead of hide." Val looked at him, eyes full of fire. "Then let's rise together." Final battle. The siege of the core. They reached the Empire's capital, Karos Prime. The sky was red with warning lights. Massive Zeran fleets blocked the orbit. Anti-air defenses glowed like teeth around the planet. But Val didn't slow down. Her palace ship led the charge. Behind her, a fleet of rebels, traitors, warriors, and defectors followed like a wave of hope. The Queen was no longer asking for her throne. She was taking it back. Chaos in the sky space erupted into war. Val's ship danced between enemy fire, powered by her own energy. John led ground forces through the broken gates. Explosions ripped through towers. In the heart of the capital, the throne room waited, abandoned, cracked, but still standing. Val walked alone through the burning hallway. Waiting inside was Mirek. "So," he said, "the ghost returns." Val didn't draw her blade. "This ends now." "Yes," he said, "but not the way you think." He pressed a button. A massive vault opened behind him, revealing Blackfall, a weapon built from Valentech corrupted by Zeran science. "You want to be queen?" Mirek growled. "Let's see what your bloodline really left behind." The cost of power Blackfall activated. The sky above them split. Energy surged across the city. Time itself rippled. Buildings shifted. Memories twisted. Pain echoed through everyone's minds. Val dropped to her knees, her own memories being torn from her. John's voice came through the comm. "Val! It's rewriting history! Fight it!" Val screamed, pushing back with all her strength. Then she saw it. Her mother's face, her father's last words, her own soul. She reached deep inside, not as a queen, not as a weapon, but as a person who chose to protect others, even if it meant losing herself. Sacrificeful stood up, her armor cracked, her body shaking. But she walked into the storm. She touched Blackfall with both hands, her power fighting the corruption. A blinding light filled the room. John burst in just in time to see her, glowing like a star, vanishing inside the energy core. "No," he shouted, but it was too late. The weapon collapsed, and with it, the storm ended. Aftermath. The Empire fell. The people rose. Val was gone. Or so they believed. Weeks later, in the ruins of the palace, John found something, a small plant growing from the stone floor. Glowing, next to it her blade, and carved in the stone. "I am not your ruler. I am your beginning." Valaria John smiled through tears. "You sacrificed everything, so we could finally be free." The Queen's choice. They called it the Awakening War. When it ended, nothing in the galaxy was the same. The Zeran Empire fell, its flags torn, its fleet scattered. Systems once silent rose up, some for freedom, some for power. But through all of it, one question echoed in every corner of space. Where is the Queen? 1 month later, a changed galaxy. The planet Vion 5 was quiet now. No sirens, no soldiers. Children played in ruins where soldiers once trained. In a small camp built under the ruins of the Zeran Palace, John Merrick walked among builders, engineers, healers, people rebuilding a world. His limp had worsened. His eyes were tired. But he never stopped moving. People now called him the Queen's Shield. But he didn't feel like a hero, because deep inside, he knew she was still out there. Every day he returned to the same place, the broken throne room. And every day, he stood in front of the stone floor where he had found her blade and those final words. "I am not your ruler. I am your beginning." Valaria would sit for hours waiting, watching, listening. Meanwhile, beyond the veil somewhere deep in space, somewhere forgotten by all maps, something stirred, a planet that didn't exist. Not anymore. But under its surface, a pulse beat, a soft golden light, and within it, a shape, a woman, floating in a cocoon of starlight. Not dead, not asleep, becoming. Valaria was in between worlds. She could feel time like a wind, stars blinking like fireflies around her. She wasn't sure how long she had been there, maybe days, maybe centuries. But she knew one thing. This was not the end. The energy from Blackfall hadn't killed her. It had taken her somewhere else, a place made of memory and possibility. And in that silence, she heard voices. Echoes of those she left behind, her mother, her father, Ryan, John. "They live because of you," the echoes whispered. "But the galaxy is still uncertain. A secret council in the real galaxy. Power was shifting again. Former warlords met in secret. Without the Queen we are blind," said one. Without her, peace will not last, said another. They wanted to bring her back, not for justice, but for control. John refused their invitation. "You don't understand," he told them. "She didn't leave to rule. She left to protect us. From ourselves." A strange signal. One night, as John sat near the blade again, the stars above began to shift, a pattern, a pulse. Not random. He grabbed his scanner. The signal was coming from nowhere, a dead frequency, untouched for 600 years. He decoded it. A single message appeared. "Not yet." His eyes widened. "Val, the storm before peace." As word of the signal spread, some began to panic. A faction of ex-Empire generals declared her return a threat. They launched an attack on Vion 5 to destroy the last memory of the Queen. John stood at the front lines with a small group of defenders, mostly farmers, healers, ex-soldiers. He held her blade, the same one she left behind. As the enemy ships entered the sky, a new light appeared, not from a ship, from the stars themselves. The light descended like fire raining down from heaven. A figure walked through the flames. Long hair, glowing eyes, silver skin lined with ancient runes. Valaria. Not just alive. Reborn. The enemy soldiers stopped firing. Some dropped their weapons. Others fell to their knees. Even the warlords watching through screens whispered, "She's not a queen anymore. She's something more." She walked through the battlefield without speaking, stood beside John, took the blade from his hands and faced the entire galaxy. The Queen's choice. They built a new chamber, not a throne room, but an open space. No crown, no guards, just voices from every system, every planet, and she stood in the center. "I did not return to rule," Val said. "I returned to offer a choice. You can go back to the way things were, fight for power, chase thrones, or you can rise together, not under me, but beside me." There was silence. Then, one by one, the planets voted, and they didn't ask for a queen. They asked for a guide. The legend Livesval never sat on a throne again. She became something more, a keeper of peace, a guardian of balance. Her ship became a moving council, a sanctuary in the stars. John remained at her side, not as a soldier, but as a friend, a brother in battle, a heart she never lost. And across the galaxy, her symbol began to rise on doors, walls, banners, not as fear, but as hope. People no longer whispered, "Is the Queen alive?" They now said, "She walks among us, and we are stronger because she did not return for power, but for us."